Hi, I'm Maud Mosley. My pronouns are they, them, and this is The Other Team's Too Queer for a Career, a monthly series that dives into different aspects of the music industry with individuals who are passionately working in their respective areas. My guest today is from a tour booking team that was founded in 2017 and is committed to providing artists with the resources they need to grow, flourish, and play the music they love creating. Would you like to introduce yourself, what you do, and kick us right off with why you are too queer for a career?
Hi, thank you so much for having me. My name's Jer. I use she, they pronouns, and I am the co-founder of Lost and Found. And I am too queer for a career because I care way too much about my artists and my team members as people and a community to fit any sort of industry mold or standard. I'm here to talk to you about that, I guess.
Yeah, absolutely. And I'm so excited to talk more about that because I definitely, do want to dive into the ways that, your work at Lost and Found does differ from that industry standard, what that looks like, what it means to you, what it means to your artists. And yeah, so I'm really excited to get all into that. But I mean, I think we should start at the beginning to kind of talk about how this started and how you got
Sure.
there. So as the co-founder, can you tell us a little bit more about Lost and Found's history and kind of how it came to be?
Yeah, totally. So for me, I've been doing music pretty much my whole life. I grew up around it. My mom plays drums. She actually just started playing in a cover band again after like
Awesome.
a long time of not playing. Yeah, it's so cool. I'm so glad that she's doing it. And I can't wait to see them play. But so like we had drums in the house, and my folks really wanted me to pick an instrument, and like I just like fell into it. So music has always just been like the thing that I care about the most.
Mhm.
And I ended up going to school for it, and I very quickly like figured out that I wanted to be part of like the live show side of the industry.
Mhm.
uh we'll get into that. It's been shifting a little bit, but like we're still doing a lot of tours and everything. But I really just like was very drawn to this live show aspect. I was doing house shows. I was experiencing that for the first time in Philadelphia. And I just kind of like fell in love with that feeling
Mhm.
of like being at a show and discovering new artists for the first time, some that like were from out of town.
Mhm.
The first show I ever went to was Roz and the Rice Cakes, which is a band from Rhode Island who doesn't play anymore. But Roz, the performer, the front person, they have a new project called Nova One that they've been doing for a while. So like, yeah, I just meeting people in that way and connecting with them, and just like hearing the music and everything, I just like instantly fell in love with that. And I was in school for music industry, and I tried to imagine. Basically, I like wasn't sure how I would function in an industry that wasn't that,
Mhm.
and I needed to be part of the shows. So I was like falling into booking, and I was trying to talk to people about booking shows in town. And I was doing a house venue for a while that had some touring bands come through, and I ended up moving to New York to work at like a bigger agency.
Mhm.
And I did that for like a year, and it just wasn't a good fit
Mhm.
uh, for a lot of reasons. And ultimately, I just kind of like missed that community aspect of it. I felt like I didn't have it there. And uh, I had this skill set though. I like had 4 years of a degree,
Mhm.
and I learned the whole industry top to bottom from working at this big agency. And I like had met a bunch of people who book shows all over the country. And I was I I have this. I need to do something with it. Um, because I am privileged to have this. Like not
Mhm.
everyone has this, and I'm in a position where I feel that I need to and want to provide like this space for people who like don't want to compromise like how they feel about music and how they feel about like the industry and how they want to move and their morals and their ethics. And like, I wanted to create a space for people to just like do whatever they want, but also like have people who can get it done and who have the experience and who have the skill set to conduct themselves in these conversations and like have that network of people who are booking the shows and putting the tours together and stuff. So I decided when I went back to Philly that I was not going to do booking because it wasn't working for me, and I was going to do management. And I formed Lost and Found with my former partner, Lee Dubin, who doesn't work with us anymore, but helped come up with the concept of just really making that, like that statement that you basically, like you pulled from our site and from experiencing like what we've been doing the last 5 years, like our mission to really just like provide for those artists and for that community in a way that like doesn't compromise anything for the sake of like a timeline or like buzz or social media or like any of that bullshit, like which is helpful but like isn't something that should be the driving force in your career, you know. Like it's sacred, it's like music, it's like your album that you've been writing for years. You don't want to like just, I don't know,
throw it out for like numbers and
yeah, it's so frustrating. So yeah, we wanted to create a place where like they could have the resources of the industry without having to like succumb to that and compromise on the things that were important to them and are important to us in like community and DIY and like as artists, you know. And yeah, so I was trying to do a management thing for like a little while, and it was too early in my career to do that. I didn't like have the connections that I needed to make things happen. So all these bands that I was trying to work with, they really just needed shows and they needed tours. And I had all these emails and I knew all these people and I knew how to do it. And I wanted to work with these bands. And that was just like, that was the thing that worked and the thing that made sense, the thing that I knew how to do, and the thing that the artists seemed to need. So then I just fell into like, it was like 3 years of me just like booking an insane amount of shows. I think at one point I was working with 20 artists or something.
Oh my gosh.
By myself. Yeah. And then, sounds insane, right? Well, I had a stress-induced ulcer because of it, because it was insane. I should not have been doing that. So I kind of just like had this moment where I realized I needed some more help. My former partner was kind of stepping away. They weren't really trying to do music in the way that I was trying to do it. And like, it's an all-consuming thing. It's week in and week out. There are artists that we are working with and servicing, and like, there are things that are constantly happening. It's like a 24/7 job. And yeah, that was when, I guess this was summer of 2019, or sorry, summer of 2018. No. I think it's summer 2019. I decided to start trying to bring on some folks to help. And I have a very, I'm sure a lot of us do, I'm sure a lot of people listening to this feel very conflicted. I don't believe in internships, but I had to do them, and I needed help, and I didn't have any money because I was working 45 hours a week at a donut shop trying to just like cover my rent and like booking shows on my phone during my shift to like make sure a band had a show in like DC like a few months from that. Like it was insane. But I brought on a few people, and basically I was very much presenting them the opportunity to like grow with me and grow with Lost and Found and what we're doing. And basically I was like, you need, like, if you want to work here, because it was folks who needed internships for college credit. And like, I went to a program where I needed that too. So I had 2 folks come work with me, and one of them like stayed. And I basically was like, if you work here and like it feels good, like you can totally be a booking agent and be a manager, like after I help you learn the basics, because I realized that year that I couldn't do it myself. And I was trying to make a big impact and create something that was sustainable and something that like could last a long time for all these artists. And like at that time, I thought that I could achieve that by like booking as many artists as I possibly can, but I can't do a good job for 20 people and also take care of myself. I couldn't do that. So I decided that I needed some help, and that I also wanted it to continue and I wanted it to grow. And if I could train other people and teach other people how to do what I was doing, that they could then do the same and we can grow that way. So that is where we're at now. And I'm so happy about it because it feels like it's everything that like I've like always envisioned for it. And I think the only thing that is currently in our way is a pandemic that is making touring virtually impossible. Like it is happening to some degree, which I'm really grateful for, but it's not reliable.
Yeah.
And it's very scary and changing all the time. So yeah, but I have these incredible team members that we try to get one on, but everyone is busy sending a billion emails and working 3 jobs. So, but yeah, I work with a bunch of amazing other agents and managers, and I have my own roster that is smaller and more manageable, and I'm helping to support them so that they can do the same. And yeah, it's been really great.
Yeah, no, that sounds so exciting. And I know that so many people, in and outside of the music scene can relate to that idea of wanting to help, wanting to meet, certain needs and trying to do everything to get there and ending up, kind of sacrificing ourselves to do so, which then sacrifices the work, then you can't meet those needs anymore. And that's a really rough cycle. So, thank you for being so honest about sharing your experience with that and like finding, stability in lieu of that and coming out of it and saying, I do want to do this, but I have to do this more realistically. And I think, so many of us really find out the hard way that we need to work with others. Because even if we want to work with others, I think so many of us have trouble like approaching people or finding ways, like you were discussing, like that difficulty of like, oh, we don't really have a lot of finances. So like internships, even though we're morally against them, like for college credit, like it's useful for us then, but then it's like, these values things are going around. And so it's really hard to just be like, who wants to do this with me, even though we don't really get money out of it and it takes up a lot of time and energy. Like that's so hard. That's such a hard conversation.
It's very complicated because it's like, I acknowledge that like I need help, but I am not at a point where we are making any money. Like I am in debt. We're at our 5th year, like it's the beginning of a business. And like, ultimately I'm just trying to exist, and all of us have to work other jobs, which like, it's fine. Like, I think that that's a big thing that we all kind of agree upon at Lost and Found is like, it's been something that I've been doing since I started is like, we try our best to make sure that we're getting income and getting our other basic needs met through other sources, because we don't want money to impact our decision making. And like with our decisions with our clients, like I'm a booking agent, but like I'm not a booking agent who is like trying to push my bands to do 200 dates a year. I'm a booking agent who is like, I love your band and I love your music and I love you as a person. And when you want to play shows, I would happily set that up for you. Like, I would love to be the person who does that. But unfortunately, we work, not unfortunately, I don't mind it. We work off commission.
Mhm.
So like that doesn't support me to do it full time, which like is fine. And I think it's a decision that we all made. Like, that's why we don't try to work in another agency to get salary. Like, we want to be able to have our autonomy, and we want our artists to be able to have that as well. So like, yeah, it's a tough balance. And yeah, I guess my mentality has really just been like, I'm always extremely transparent about like the financial situation. And I'm like, listen, like, this is how I do it. Like, if you are interested in doing this, like, and still want to, knowing all of this, like, I'm happy to have you because like, I think you'd be great. And like, I don't think it's always going to be like this. In 2019, as I was starting to expand, I quit. Oh yeah, no, I did mess up that. It was 2018. But in 2019, I was expanding because I was able to quit my day jobs because I was starting to support myself off of the touring commissions, because never in the history of the industry have we had these like gaps for months and years where there aren't shows happening. So yeah, I just am very honest with anyone who approaches me about trying to work with me. I don't often seek it out. I'm about to have an intern this summer who was in the same school program that I was, and I know that they need to have that in order to graduate. And luckily, they were able to get some scholarship money to support that. But yeah, like, I'm not really trying to bring people in because I can't.
Yeah.
But I want the idea to grow, and I want there to be more people who are doing this so that more bands can be supported. But it feels right now like we're in a really good place. It's a small team, and we really are just focused on like doing the best that we can for the artists that we have.
Yeah,
because they're all
definitely.
incredible.
Yeah. And I love, like, I mean, transparency is obviously so important in whatever we do. But I also love that, like, the ideas of self-care and autonomy and like, not overextending yourself are things that you are putting out to others on your team, but then also all the artists that you work with. So it's like really doing that as a community thing to say these are all choices that we have. We all need to take care of ourselves. We should all be, prioritizing that is so important, especially, in an arts industry that has kind of become like grind, or you don't get anywhere or get to do anything. And it's
that doesn't work.
That doesn't work. You're going to burn out. Absolutely.
That excludes a lot of people. It's really messed up. And like, that's why we have this, like, because it would be great to be on tour for 200 dates. But unfortunately, most people aren't able to make that work with their job schedules. And most jobs aren't accommodating enough to be like, oh yeah, you can have this job when you come back in 200 days. And usually when bands are developing, they're not getting paid consistently enough to like take that risk. So it's just like, it's this like waiting game of like trying to get them to a point where they can do it more. But yeah, like, we want to be flexible with our artists. Like, I have artists, most of them who work full-time jobs, and we book shows when they want to do a show. And we're constantly trying to get like bigger support tours and stuff, the ones that have solid guarantees for a certain amount of dates so that they can plan for that, but even those are still sometimes tough. Like, the rates have been the same in the industry for like 30 plus years. Like, opening bands are getting $100 to $200 a night.
Which
and
is
it's
ridiculous.
Like, like gas is like $4 a gallon or more. It's not sustainable.
No, and it's not sustainable for those like job and financial reasons, but also, all the, ableism and such that you also
Yeah.
see when we have these really high expectations of how much people like quote unquote should be able to do, and
Yeah.
it's like there's so many different like, for physical health reasons, for mental health
Yep.
reasons that like you are just some people, some of us are just never going to be able to like hit that target for
Yeah.
just being who we are. So it's like,
Yeah.
yeah, that flexibility is so important. And then also, making sure that we actually start paying people more so that that flexibility isn't like a detriment to the financial side of things.
Yep.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
absolutely.
Very well said. Yeah. No, and then a pandemic
Yeah.
on top of it. And everyone's just like, yeah, well, you need to be playing shows and you need to be touring. And everyone's like, how can I? Like, is this okay? And I don't know. People are getting sick all the time. I've seen a lot of people like have successful tours, but yeah, it doesn't feel reliable. And I think everything you said about the the output, how much you're expected to like grind in order to in order to be a musician.
Yeah.
Like you shouldn't need that. Like you should be able to create music and then like be supported enough to do that,
Yeah. Yeah.
Especially a lot of these artists, because like there's a lot of artists who are on bigger labels who get that support and get that stability. And I'm not saying that like they're all like not deserving of it, because there are bands who deserve that, but there are also like an enormous amount of bands who have done like the same amount of work and like have the same amount or more talent who are not getting that and are still having to like scrape by, when I don't personally believe that they should. I believe that they should be getting advances from record labels and getting paid to like make their music, and exist, because like they're that good, um, and nice and deserving.
Definitely. The inequity in the music industry is huge. And it's kind of seen, oh, you'll be supported once you get to the top. And it's like, okay, well, what do I do before then? And how do I get there when you've put all of these barriers in front of me too? So yeah, that is all incredibly difficult stuff. And I mean, so heavy for so many of us as well, who are like in these positions, who are going through this, but obviously too, just so much positivity and love and care is like, has brought you to this work, as you mentioned, and has, pushed you to continue this work. So really, what has been a, positive highlight for you at Lost and Found?
I honestly, like, I think the growth of the team has been the thing that has been like bringing me so much joy lately, because I feel like I'm their eyes again, like, because I've been doing this for 5 years, and the other team members are relatively new, and I'm just seeing them like get excited about working with these artists and getting them opportunities, and just also hitting a groove with my own clients, and just like finding people who really understand like what we're doing. And I don't know, it's really beautiful to see it grow and to see it reach beyond me, because I don't that's the thing, is like I've been doing this for so long, but I don't want, like, I feel like all this weight on my shoulders to like support this thing, but it is good because I want it to exist for all these people, and like I'm seeing it happen. I'm seeing people that I trust so dearly, who I care about so much, who like are so talented and so smart, who deserve to be a booking agent, who deserve to be an artist manager, who shouldn't need to like be part of these massive agencies and be assistants for 5 years to get to that point. Like, they have the skills and they have the passion, and they should be able to do it now. And I'm getting to watch that happen and unfold. And uh, be connected to all of their artists as well. And like, I feel like the thing that me and Lee like thought of like exists now.
I love that. It's amazing when you can take that step back and be like, this is kind of what I dreamed of. Like when this started, this is everything I wanted it to be. Like, that's such a powerful, beautiful moment. Like, it feels like there's like a glow around this thing all of a sudden.
Yeah, that's where I feel these days. I honestly, like, that's what I'm feeling. And it feels really nice.
Yeah.
I'm really proud.
Yeah, that is
awesome.
That is so exciting. And I also love because like what you shared really shares those roots and like the DIY mentality you were mentioning, where it's like, you know, all different kinds of experience should be valued and people should be able to come in with their skills and their talents and be able to learn and be like, oh, I can do this. I have these capabilities. I have this experience that is like transferable from other things I was doing, and I can show up and I can do this job. Whereas, you know, as you mentioned, you know, at, you know, potentially larger corporations, it's just like so many different industries in general. You know, it's all about working your way up, having particular kinds of education, having particular kinds of experience. You know, there's not a lot of that opportunity to just be like, I know I can do this based on this, this, and this. And I will mess up, but I will learn and I will do better and I can grow with that, you know?
Yeah, absolutely. I feel like I'm very much like a learn by doing person. And like, yeah, it's hard when you're like working with bands and stuff and like it has real impact. But at the same time, like, I don't know, we all grow together. And exactly what you said, like, there are skills that people have that like you can see like, okay, this is the job, this is what you have to do. You have that. Like I feel like I can judge, like I have a good judge of character and people, and like I see them, and like the people that work with me, Joe, Brett, Reg, and they just like, I see it in them. Like I see the thing that I see in myself. I see that they understand what we're doing and will do whatever they can to do it and to keep doing it for a long time for these artists. And yeah, I just like, I don't understand why these big corporations have this like structure where it's like, all right, yes, you totally can do this. You're hired. Now go do busy work for 6 years and like maybe like you can do this job at that point. If they don't like lay you off by then or like fold because the industry is unstable. So I'm just like, yeah, like why would you like, because what happens is like, what happened to me is like, I don't know, like that fire definitely started like flickering a bit. Like it's hard. Like the like assistant work and the coordinator work, like working your way up the ladder, like that like frat mentality of like you have to like hazing and like you have to like pay your dues. It's like, why though? Like most of us like who are doing this, like we went to school for it or we have some sort of degree or background. If it's not a degree, it's like experience in years of like doing the booking and doing the management, you know? And you don't need a degree for this. Like you just need to be able to be extremely organized. You have to be extremely good at communicating and, you know, just like very task and detail oriented. You know, it's not, you don't need to have a certain degree for it. And I feel like with these folks that I brought on, like I see that in them and I want to just give them that. Like, and if they need anything, I'm here to help them. But they're really smart and they don't need anything like 98% of the time because they're great.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think talking about, you know, this idea of being too queer for a career, I feel like that's another thing that kind of, you know, creates that, you know, idea of being too queer for a career and leaving places if you were like being given that busy work, expected to work at like a certain level when you are seeing the job that you want and knowing fully that you can do it. that's a huge reason people will like leave a certain workforce, because they're just like, I'm seeing this job in front of me that I know I'm capable of, that I know I'm being kept from and having to do these tasks instead. So why am I here? I'll just go do this on my own. I'll just go work for somebody else who respects the fact that I have these skills, you know?
And in my case, I did not see and like there's definitely like agencies that I like to work with, but I think it's for me, I just like don't feel like I could work for anyone. Like I don't like, I feel like if I'm gonna do this work, I'm gonna do it independently, or I'm not gonna do it.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Yeah. Sorry.
No, that's so real. And, you know, I feel like all of this goes to discuss, you know, how much has really changed and grown since the beginning. So what else do you think those changes have looked like? Because I feel like, you know, your roster has changed, your team has grown and changed. The pandemic has affected how you're conducting things.
Yeah, I mean, we did kind of have a big shift back towards management when the pandemic hit. Because basically, like right when everything started, we were looking at an indefinite amount of time before shows were going to be happening. And the way that we work is just like very week in and week out. Like we're always trying to do stuff. I mean, I set this energy aside to do this every week. Like I want to use the skills and the network that I have to help these artists. And I think it was like, we kind of took a break. We went like 4 months where we just like didn't really do anything while we were trying to just take care of ourselves. And I was starting to get antsy at that point because I was like seeing music being released again and the industry kind of doing some stuff. And I wanted to help folks again. And basically at that moment, I decided that I wanted to manage again more full time or more intentionally, because I was kind of doing both for a while I was figuring things out. But like I had said, the management stuff, I didn't really have the connections that I have now that like are a core part of like why I'm able to be a good manager for these artists. And yeah, there's one of my team members, Regina, she decided that she did not want to do booking and wanted to do management. And I was like, do you want to do it here? Like, cause I want to keep working with you. And she said, yeah. So basically the two of us just like started doing some management stuff. And Joe, one of our other team members, is doing management as well too. But yeah, basically we just started kind of like changing the mindset a little bit. Cause like I said, it's a lot of just like communication. It's a lot of emails. It's a lot of just like keeping everything organized and well presented for the client, just so, like they know what's going on, you know? And yeah, I started my re-entry to management by approaching Jiraiya, which is an artist that I've been working with for a year and a half.
Who is incredible. Just side note,
Yeah,
everyone listening.
Yeah, he's incredible. He blows me away every day. But yeah, I started working with him, and basically, yeah, I approached him again, full transparency. I was like, listen, like, I think you're incredible. I'd love to work with you. In the past, I've done mostly booking, but I founded this company as a management company, and like, I want to manage you, because I saw what he was doing. And it was one of those moments where I was like looking around the room, the metaphorical room. I was alone. I'm like looking around the room and I'm like, are y'all seeing this? Like, how is no one seeing this? Because no one is representing him yet. Like, I don't understand. Because he is making like some of the most unique music I've ever heard. And on top of that, he's an animator. And he's pairing them, all these songs, with incredible visuals and animations. And I just like, I feel like I've never met anyone like him or seen anyone doing anything the way that he's doing it. And he also works with Cole Racer on the back end, who does like a lot of the mixing and the drumming and like production stuff. And what they put together is just like, it's incredible. But yeah, I started managing Jiraiya, and yeah, it's been incredible. I like am blown away by like the progress that we've made since we started working together. And like, again, like this is, I mean, not again, I didn't say it yet. This is all him. Like he is grinding so hard. Like he works so hard, and he is putting, like, he's writing some of the best music I've ever heard. And I'm just glad that people are seeing it and like recognizing it. And I don't know if you saw this week, but we got he got selected by Spotify for their Fresh Finds program.
Yeah, I just saw the massive billboard. Awesome.
Yeah, it was insane. Yeah, I was like, I had my gig last night, but I'm like watching Jiraiya's story, and him and his friends and his parents like went and saw the billboard last night, and I'm like, this is insane. Like he's on a billboard in Times Square, and it's the size of a skyscraper, and he is getting to release like an exclusive track with them, and we've been working with those folks, and I got to go to New York and meet some of them during the session. And yeah, I don't know, it's been really fulfilling, and it's been feeling really good. And yeah, like the amount of growth in like not a lot of time is really, it's just really special, and I'm like really proud of them. And I'm glad that I get to work with them. Yeah.
Yeah, that's amazing. And I mean, I really appreciate that things shifted and changed, you know, partially as the world shifted and changed and needs changed as far as what we can do, but also based off like your team's interests, like people also just being like, I want to get more into this world, and being like, well, let's continue to work together and get into that world together here.
Yeah.
I think that's just so powerful. And I also, I don't know, it warms my heart too, to just also see like how much you clearly care about the artists that you work with, and care about, you know, however they're going to define success and getting there and being able to see their work pay off is, you know, just incredible to see. I mean, I can see you, unlike the listeners, and just like seeing how your face just absolutely like lights up when you're able to talk about like the incredible things that the people you work with are doing, you know. So for yourself though, what does success look like for you and for Lost and Found?
I honestly it's all about stability and sustainability. I just want us to exist. Like if we exist, we are successful, in my opinion. Like, because this industry is completely insane. It is very, very difficult to break through, let alone stay and exist for a long time. Especially in booking, it's really hard. It's very tiring, and the pandemic doesn't make it easier. So on the touring front, yeah, if we have artists on the road, we have artists who are like getting support tours and playing big shows, like playing shows at all, and are like enjoying themselves. I'm thrilled. If we exist, I'm so happy, and I feel like we are extremely and wildly successful.
Yes, that's amazing. Can you, like, you know, with stability being such a priority in your life and in that definition of success, can you share more where, like, based on where you're currently at, what would stability in this work look like?
Oh, it's so hard. We were talking about financial stuff last week. It's just like constantly like, I think that like long term, if we can get to a point where like we are all doing this as our full-time job and like able to support our basic needs, that would be incredible. I just like, because that's the thing, is I also want our artists to have us for 40 hours a week. Like that is the other like big thing that is different with us and other agencies is like most of us, all of us are working other jobs or doing other side hustles, and it doesn't allow us to sit at our computer for a full work week because we need to like do this other stuff to keep our head above the water. And we're working, our other colleagues at these other places, they have benefits and salary, and they are able to just like do this full time. They're able to travel and go see their artists and like support them in person. And I don't know. I think that if we wake up and like are just doing this and don't have to worry about all the other stuff, that would just be incredible. Me and Regina have been talking for years about we really want like, because people in the industry world are like, oh, are you gonna get an office? And I'm like, no. Like, why would I get an office? First, one, I don't have any money. Two, if I did have money, I would not spend it on an office. It doesn't make any sense. Like, that's why everyone is like struggling. Like, you shouldn't have offices in major cities in the country when we're making 10%. I'm not gonna get into that. But yeah, me and Reg have this dream where we have a couple of like storefronts around the country that kind of are like upstairs. We can have like some office space for us to do our emails that we have to do, but downstairs is like a record shop where we keep like our artists records in stock, as well as like some merch stuff. And then like we can do like staff picks and like favorites, stuff like that. And then maybe like a coffee shop slash like venue space or something. But or like community space, you know.
Yeah.
I think that like having something like that in the future would be really cool.
Yeah, that sounds like an incredible goal. And I feel like so often, especially when anyone in like any sort of arts industry shares those kinds of goals, I feel like so many people are like, oh, like, what a dreamer. Like that can't happen.
Yeah, I know,
that
right?
can't like exist in like this economy, you know, whatever. I feel like there's always that reaction, but it's also like, okay, but if we don't have those like long-term dreams or those long-term goals, then like you're struggling day to day for what? Like, you're showing up, you're going to multiple jobs, you're working this on top, you're struggling with like the financial instability of it all. And if you were just like doing that every day with like no bigger goals of what would make you like happy and like really excited about showing up to this work every day, then like that's just another way that you burn out. Like being so in the moment and not allowing yourself to dream is like you give up. And like it's a totally reasonable reason to give up because you're just like, why am I doing this to myself? You know? Totally. So it's like, being able to hear about something like that and just picture it in your head and being like, we can get there is just a reason to like continue.
Totally. I also think it's important to like find a balance within like ourselves around this work, because like you said, like it is like it's all consuming. It's like I'm showing up for this every day, and I don't know, the long-term stuff definitely like that would be great, but that's not, I think, what keeps me going with it. I think it's really the community, and it's really the like just the music. And I have been trying to restructure my life because this work has heavily impacted my relationship with music in like an irreparable way. Like I work in the industry and I listen to music, and like in the past I like I'm deciding who I want to work with for different reasons, and like also playing in bands and releasing music and having expectations from like labels and management and like all this stuff. It like totally like messes with your love for the music itself and like why you're actually there to begin with. And I'm like, when I was like drowning under like emails from like with an ulcer at 24 for booking for like 20 bands, I'm like, why am like I gotta figure out why I am still here. And like I started drumming again that year for the first time in a while. because I did like a year where I was just doing the business stuff and I was miserable. And yeah, I just like, now I'm really trying to like I drum in Sonderbaum's full time, and that's been great. Having gigs here and there, and hopefully like more touring in the future. And like I'm writing my own, or I've written my own album that I've been recording with my friend Heather this year, that I want to release next year. And I don't know, I think it's important to just like always remind myself why I'm here. And it's because I love music so much. And like this existence is so brutal. And it's like the only thing that like brings me so much joy other than like love and my friends. So yeah, I want to help other people do that. And the only way that I can keep doing that for everyone else is if I keep myself like rested and happy, and just making sure that I'm doing the things that are important to me too.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, I think of like that, pretty pessimistic but like common idea where it's like, oh, if you love something, never do it for a job. Like so many people like think that way and say that, and it's always like, I always get where they're coming from, because it's always like, capitalism will ruin it for you. Like you'll be forced to do it in a way that you don't want to do it. And like, that's kind of a reality of it. But there's also this reality of like finding ways to take care of yourself and continue to love something, even though you're going to be met with barriers and limitations. And there are days where it's going to suck, because then there's the more optimistic of like, even if you love what you do, there's going to be some days where you're too tired to do it, where you don't want to do it, where like that's just being human and liking things and getting tired. And, all of those things can definitely happen and still be like, I want to do this.
Yep. And it comes in waves,
Yeah, for sure. And I mean, that definitely, that taking care of ourselves can be such a barrier to this work. And obviously the pandemic, as we've talked about, has just become this other barrier. So how do you feel like you've really been navigating all like the barriers and the limitations that you come across now?
I just do my best. I just do my best every day. I take every day as it comes. I don't know. I kind of feel like I could do anything now. I feel like, I don't know. I feel like I learned how to adapt a while ago. I did a tour manage. I was like tour managing for Camp Cope from Australia, and Tomo, their drummer / manager, sorry, I need a sip of water, just completely like changed the way I view every situation and every day. I'd never seen anything like it, especially in music, but like literally the worst possible thing could happen, and she was always so calm and was just like, all right, well, like what, okay, so what do we do? Like, how do we solve it? Like, cool. There's no reason to like get mad, no reason to get upset. Like, and at one point there was, because I like lost all the money, got it back, left it where we were staying, and then had to have it mailed. It was horrifying. And even then she was like, that's all right. Like, what are we going to do? Figure it out. And I'm like, okay, so like, this is how I'm going to live now. And I feel like since then, I'm just like, literally like the most like absurd possible thing can happen. And I'm just like, yeah, like, all right, so how do I solve this? Like, Dry was on tour, and I didn't realize until like 2 or 3 days before they left that they weren't touring with a drum set. So like every day on that tour, I was like scrambling to find him. Not every day, but like most days, I was like scrambling to find him a drum set on that tour. When they played Cleveland, he called me like an hour before the show, and I had to drive my drum set to the show. And I love him so much. But yeah, like I don't know. I just kind of feel like this is an industry where you need to just roll with the punches and like, I don't know, especially with the pandemic, I'm just like, yeah, like whatever happens, happens. We're going to do our best. Like I've had to kind of just really compartmentalize everything. And like, I don't know, it's weird. Like I was working on tours for South by, which is in March.
Mm-hmm.
And I was working on that in like November, December.
Mm.
And then we had like the huge Omicron spike. And I literally was working on stuff that I had no idea if it was actually going to happen. And I needed to just like do it because people needed it, even like just in case it happened. And it did. So like, I'm glad that I did that. But it's really, yeah, I don't know. I feel like I've just needed to really like hone my expectations. And yeah, I don't know. I don't really expect anything. I'm like, if cool things happen, that's great. If bad things happen, that's fine. And I'll figure it out. And if I can't, I'll do my best.
Yeah, I honestly feel like that is such good advice for just life in general. And I love when we can like pick those things up from people who are just like being themselves. And we're like, oh, that's a really good way to be. Like, I should probably be more like that. Like, I'll take that on. But then, yeah. So, I mean, as far as advice, though, as this work pertains, what would you share with others who are looking to get into tour booking or into artist management, just into this world that you're in?
Well, I think that for anyone listening who like is interested in doing this kind of work, I think that you should try it. I don't think that you should be discouraged if you don't have any sort of like degree or background in it. I think that you should just try and start by maybe just like, I don't know, like starting to get into those circles and going to shows and just talking to some people who are in those positions and, like learning from them. I feel like I've come across a lot of people who, I don't know, I just kind of like talk to. And now that I've been through this for like years and years, I just kind of like tell them stuff that I would have told myself that I wish I knew. Like, don't take on 20 bands because you're going to get an ulcer, and you should maybe stretch from time to time and maybe not drink a lot of coffee if you have anxiety disorders. But yeah, I think that like you should just go for it. The same with just like being a musician or doing music in general. I think it's very like daunting if you don't have like background when there are other people who do, but like it's never too late to start something. And yeah, I don't know, to do this job, you literally just need to be like nice and really good at emailing and being good at communicating. And I feel like a good place to start is to like work with like a friend's band or something, and do like a trial period, which is something that I wish I knew about years ago, where you can say, hey, I am new to this, but I think I'm going to be really good at it and I really want to do this. Why don't we do a 6-month trial period? And after 6 months, we can have a conversation and like assess where we're at. No commitment, like, see if it's a good fit. And yeah, you can learn a lot by doing that. And I don't think it really hurts anyone if it's just like half a year and everyone is under the same understanding and agreement,
Yeah, absolutely. These choices that we make, never have to be forever. Like there's always these things where it's like, oh, if you want to do something, you kind of have to go all in. But it's like, I just want to try. I just want to see. And yeah, as you mentioned, like as long as that's transparent, you're sharing that it's like something that you want to do and you may or may not continue to do it. Like we should find those opportunities in our communities. Absolutely.
Totally.
Yeah. And then on the artist sides of things, do you have any advice that you would give to artists at this point who are, unsure or maybe even because of how the larger industry operates, nervous about getting involved with, booking or artist management, kind of want to do it themselves or even just shy away from it entirely because it's kind of like, there's so much to be anxious about when getting into what happens behind the scenes if you don't know what happens behind the scenes.
Yeah, no, it's a lot. I think that, sorry, I think if you're going to do it yourself, I think you should still try to have conversations with people to just kind of like figure out some basic stuff. I just kind of like to check all the boxes with like, I don't know, it's like release stuff just very quickly. Like, I don't know, like being on Twitter and being on Instagram and being present in the communities and like kind of presenting yourself to people and being like, hi, I'm here and this is the thing that I'm making. And I don't know, not being afraid to like shout about it because like it is important and it is special and like you made it. So it deserves to be heard. But I think that again, like I am personally a very much like learn by doing type person. We're living in this like weird dystopian streaming culture. And I think that it's a very like, I don't know, it can be kind of trial error if you're starting out. Like release some singles and like release an EP and like start trying stuff out. But I think that if you want to make music, you should make music. And if the industry stuff stresses you out, you should just ignore it and you should do your own thing. And Twitter is probably not going to exist in however many years. And TikTok and Instagram probably won't either. And like none of this stuff is going to matter. So it's like, I don't know, if you find joy in making music, you should make it. And if you have friends or see people who are doing stuff kind of by the industry standard or if you're trying to break into that, I think there are a lot of people who will talk to you about that and give you some advice. And you could also learn a lot by just kind of being a fly on the wall too.
Yeah, anti-gatekeeping.
Yeah. Oh my God.
Yeah, for sure. So, if people do want to get involved, I know you are open to, these consultations at Lost and Found. If people do want to talk through this stuff, where can they find you? Where can they find more of your work? Where can they get involved, reach you at?
Yeah, totally. I'm on socials. I recently changed my tag to Jer, like share, because people were not pronouncing my name correctly. But yeah, I am doing the consults. I'm doing them around like a sliding scale right now. But if people don't have funds, like I'm down to set up calls, especially now that I'm like changing up my work balance and trying to find like a different job and stuff. But yeah, I'm on socials and there's like a little booking link in my bio. And also just like, I don't know, I don't think it's rude to like message people on socials if you like want to ask a couple things, if they seem like they might be open to that, I know a lot of other people do consult stuff like Victoria Park from the project Victoria Bark. She's been doing them occasionally, and Tyler Ondere from Father Daughter does them as well. So yeah, I think that there are a lot of people who kind of have that same mentality of like, I have this information. I don't like if I can talk to someone for an hour and they can benefit from that, like by all means, like let's talk.
Yeah, sharing experience, sharing our knowledge is so vital, especially in an industry that is like, we will keep our secrets and like has been allowed to be so predatory for so long because of that idea of like everything is going to happen behind a curtain and you're not allowed to know what's going on. It's like, no, tell people what's going on and make sure everyone makes their own decisions and gets the same kind of knowledge that we have, because there's no reason that it should be a secret.
Totally. Yeah. Yeah. When I'm on the consults, I'm literally just like, what are you trying to do? And they're like, this. I'm like trying to pitch the labels. I'm trying to book a show. And I'm just like on my email, I'm just like forwarding them like my templates and like my grids and like all the stuff that I'm doing every day. And I'm just like, here, just like take it, just copy it. It's literally like, this is a spreadsheet. Mm-hmm. It's just a spreadsheet. Like, just take it.
Yeah, I love that. All right. So we are coming to an end of this episode of Too Queer for a Career. So as we end it, in honor of the title, we welcome you to share a story about, realizing that you were too queer for a career. It could be why, you left a previous field of work you were in, or something that really made you feel like you have to do this kind of work in this kind of way. Whatever comes to mind for you, we are here to hear it.
Okay. I don't like to talk about my old job too much, but yeah, I will just say there's no way I could have ever worked at like a big agency, like any of them. It's just like they're on this like full-time grind in music that I don't think I'm ever gonna be a part of. I think recently I was talking to some people, I was like, I think I tweeted it on like my private. I was like, I am sick of the rat race. Like, maybe I'm not a rat. Like, maybe I don't want to do this. Like, maybe I just want to like book some shows and send some emails and help some artists on my own time. And unfortunately, the industry is not very forgiving to that mentality because they are in it every week. They're Monday through Friday. They are wired in full time. And I'm not going to lie, I'm checking my inbox all the time, but I also need to work other jobs to support myself. I also need to not be at my computer 40 hours a week so that I feel okay, so that I can come back next week, because that's too many hours in my opinion. I like started trying to do a 4-day work week this year when I was on unemployment. And yeah, I think all those reasons are pretty big reasons why I'm too queer for a career, because if I walked into an office with any of this stuff, they'd be like, thanks.
Yeah. Also, can you at some point, this is going to be the most niche merch design, but can you make a poster that says, I'm so tired of the rat race, maybe I'm not a rat? Because just the second I heard that, I'm like, that is going to be ringing in my head for months. I'm just like, I'm going to be walking like down the street being like, maybe I'm not a rat.
Maybe I'm not a rat. Like, have you ever thought about maybe I'm not? Maybe I didn't choose this. Yeah, I would love to. That'd be great. If someone else hasn't already said it, which is very likely.
Oh my gosh. Yeah, we can work on this together. I'll message you.
That's our next project.
Absolutely. Stay tuned, everyone.
Well, thank you so much for having me. I'm really grateful you asked me, and this has been so wonderful. And
thank you so much for meeting you. Thank you so much for joining us. I'm Maud Mosley, your Too Queer for a Career host. Thank you for listening to this month's inaugural episode. We're also so thankful to each of the individuals who made this episode possible, including Gabriel Packard of GP Productions, who edited it, Truss of Truss Products, who created the music, and Hannah Shafi of Frizz Kid Art for the cover design. Interested in more music and interviews? Check out our sibling series Tunes Tuesday on the Other Team YouTube channel to hear about music and matters from queer artists you love. For more of our work and to keep updated, you can also check us out at the Other Team Music across social media. Cheers!